Time for us here to go viral. LeBron James looked like his old self Tuesday night against the Chicago Bulls, throwing down multiple dunks that reminded many of his early seasons in the NBA. Yesterday, hopped on the gram, posted side-by-side images of himself doing the same dunk he did his rookie year, captioning it, "Some things never change."
I mean, they are, and when you see it, somebody put it together side by side where, there it is, right behind me, actually, now that I see it there, where you can see it, I mean, almost exact same elevation, like, that LeBron is not, people say LeBron should do the dunk contest. Not really a creative dunker. Powerful dunker, good in-game dunker, but there's not, I mean, this is kind of his go-to creative.
Yeah, but I just believe if the lights were on, he would come up with something because he's never done. I believe he's a good enough dunker from that. But, man, the similarities with this picture, they're amazing. 16 years apart. It's the only thing similar is, Jenna, when he was on the Cavs, they weren't in the playoffs either.
So that's true.
Same elevation, same.
You can't see the hairline from this angle either, because that... Not a lot of similarities there from rookie year.
The most impressive part of him posting that on the gram, Instagram was down for like 7 hours and he still did it.
That's why Jenna's been so good today.
Oh, guys, come on.
She wasn't on the gram all day yesterday.
All day. But I tried 1,400 times.
She's not depressed. So many things.
Back to the Warriors.
We love the gram.
And the Rockets. Steph Curry called this a statement game. Warriors hadn't beaten Houston yet this season until last night when they certainly did make a statement. Everyone did. Boogie Cusun scored a season-high 27 points, tacked on 8 boards, 7 assists. Klay Thompson had 30. Dubs beat the Rockets 106-104, snapped Houston's 9-game win streak in the process, and they did it without Kevin Durant, still out with that sore ankle. Here is Boogie Cousins after his best game of the season.
I think it's coming. We've had stretches where, you know, it's kind of flowing for everybody, but you know, this is a team that's been together for a while, and, you know, they play a certain type of way, and they're used to playing a certain type of way. So for me to just come in and, you know, I'm not expecting it to just this team to adjust to me. Obviously, I have to adjust to them. And, you know, I have my opportunities, so all I can do is just try to take advantage of those opportunities. And, you know, I think I had those opportunities tonight.
It was a long time coming this season, at least for Boogie Cousins, who struggled to find his groove. What did you make of the performance Boogie put on last night?
Listen, it was necessary. When they signed him, we called him the world's greatest insurance policy because they didn't need him. But if a superstar goes down, they weren't going to be a deep team. And yesterday we saw them against the only team in the last 2 years that has a winning record against them, the Houston Rockets, a team that up to last night had swept them in the season series 3-0 with no Kevin Durant in Houston. Boogie played his best game since he was a New Orleans Pelican. And all the credit in the world to him because he was having to work on defense. So he wasn't great defensively, but he wasn't so bad. He was unplayable. They were trying to get him in the pick and roll defensively, which we knew Houston would do. And Boogie was the offensive force that was, at his peak, the best offensive center in basketball. It's the first time we've seen that Boogie as a Golden State Warrior, and it was in a critical spot. Like, I mean, as you see from the final score, Golden State was in control throughout this game. But the Rockets made a push at the end of the second quarter to get a 2-point game at halftime, and then a late rally to where they had the ball down 3 with potentially a chance to tie it late. So they needed everything from Boogie, and Boogie was outstanding. So he's been the subject of a lot of criticism with his play, the plus-minus when he's out there. He was excellent last night, the only starter for them in the positive on the plus-minus last night.
27 points on 16 shots, better on the defensive end. Their ball movement was totally different. It seemed like there was more space on the court, but they went into this game, you could see that they were very, very focused. Boogie among the most focused ones in the group. Now, their big three, when you don't have KD in there, you still have a big three. Their big three gets 81 last night. So Boogie, what he did, and Nick, I think you brought up a good example. If you didn't watch the game out there and you just look at the stat sheet, just look at the numbers and everything, but it was far more important. Late in the game, Golden State was ahead pretty much the whole game, but late in the game, Boogie scores 10 points in that fourth quarter. They take him out for a rest. They almost lose control.
Houston goes on a 9-0 run once Boogie goes out of the game. It was a 13-point game. I think it was a 10-point game, actually, when Boogie came out, cut it all all the way down to a 1-point game after a Chris Paul and one with 10 seconds.
So one of the big disputes was, are you going to play Boogie late, and or is he going to be such a detriment on the defensive side? He wasn't that on the defensive side, and they had to play him last night when you don't have Kevin Durant. I think, Nick, you make a great point as far as he's one of the best insurance policies that a great basketball team could ever have, because he's the insurance against injury. So last night, how did they go to Houston when they lost the first 3 meetings this year without Kevin Durant? Was because of Boogie Cousins, and we need to be able to give him credit. But in doing that, what I would say, because I know Boogie was like, oh, man, this is like as the world turns and everything. Yeah, it is. Because I believe that the Warriors, great win for them last night without KD, but does it create some type of false confidence or a narrative that they're not able to live up to? Boogie Cousins played well. They need him in that fourth quarter. But going forward, we were talking the last few days, who's going to go to Boogie and tell him they have to cut his minutes late in the game? Because if they go to the 5 that they like to go to with a smaller unit.
Iguodala, Durant, Draymond, Steph, Clay.
Yeah, where you're able to move Draymond over to the 5 position, their depth lineup. That's what's won these championships of late. Who's going to tell him that? If Boogie plays well late in games, then, Nick, that confidence he had, he's still trying to get a max contract.
Listen, the Rockets wanted to win this game. There is a dogfight right now between the Rockets, the Thunder, and the Blazers in that 3-4-5 matchup. Everyone wants that 3 line because you're gonna, if you get the 4-5, you're gonna play one of those other 2 teams there. And then if you even get through that first round, you got Golden State in the second round. So it was an important game for Houston last night. With a win last night, they're 2.5 back of the 1 seed, and they obviously would have the tiebreaker with Golden State. So they wanted to win. So, and they went ice cold from 3. They were 11 of 41 from 3. They're, I think, 3-10 this year in games where they don't hit at least a dozen threes. However, if they were going to lose, them losing because Boogie plays great, that's the best way for them to lose moving forward. I know that's how they feel, because the Rockets are one of the few organizations, I believe, that when the Warriors signed Boogie Cousins, not only were they not upset, they might have felt good about it, because they know that what a detriment he is in the long term on their defense. And when he plays like that,
and it's a credit
offense,
to what they emphasize as far as not only the basketball, not only the 3-point shooting, how they've changed their offense to add different dimensions to it, but the numbers and how they rely. Daryl Morey and how he relies on those numbers to be able to break down. They can't be as efficient offensively. So don't be worried when the world's saying, man, they got 5 All-Stars. How are you going to be able to do it? Daryl Morey has given them the type of confidence throughout that organization, and that's what we've seen coming down the stretch. So I could see what you're saying with Boogie being so positive in the game, how this could hurt them when they take KD coming back.
The Rockets think Boogie on the court is bad for the Warriors against them. And now last night it wasn't. Last night he was great, and he's been subject of criticism, and I want him to get a huge contract somewhere, because he has been on his best behavior the last 2 years. It's not his fault his Achilles pops. I like Boogie, but I'm just telling you from a basketball standpoint, the Rockets want him on the court. And so if the Warriors had gotten beat last night and Boogie had been bad, then if and when they play in the postseason series, you can say, man, you know, DeMarcus, there's not a lot of evidence of you playing well in this matchup. We're going to have to pare your minutes down, for, you know, whether you like it or not. So that is the silver lining for Houston there. The other element, Jenna, that we talked about earlier was, would either team in this spot, certainly a full-strength Houston, unveil any wrinkle, anything that they have developed over the course of the year to specifically combat Golden State in this game, when they know to get to the NBA Finals they're going to have to go through them? Or would they want to keep something in reserve for a series to where they can throw something at Golden State on either the offensive or defensive end that will catch them off guard? That's the other question. It's hard to do when you've played a team now 14 times in the last 2 seasons. But the Rockets know if they're going to make the finals, they have to go through Golden State.
Well, Golden State knows they can't be wishy-washy like they were the last couple of games. They can't beat Denver, lose to Phoenix, beat Houston, and you don't know which version of this team is going to come out. All right, let's get back to the NFL now. The Giants traded away Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns. That we know. Now the Giants' offense consists of Saquon Barkley, a 38-year-old quarterback, and a couple of other players. Many are now questioning the front office, which also let Landon Collins walk. But General Manager Dave Gettleman said Giants have a plan, and, quote, this is part of it. CeCe, you buying that the Giants have a plan after dealing Odell?
Man, I believe that Dave Gettleman, I believe that it's hard to believe that he's telling the truth after he said we didn't sign him to trade him. And his quote about Odell Beckham that he's repeated the last couple weeks. But you don't get those types of jobs not to have a plan. It's hard. And we have Mike Tannenbaum here. He was able to explain. It's hard to reveal that plan publicly, but I believe that once he got there, there was a plan. He's experienced at doing this. He has the experience for the job. He knows the culture there with the Giants. He's been there before. But I just believe that sometime along the way that plan has changed, and he's just not letting us in that the plan has changed, because right now they're no more than an expansion franchise that somehow they got some great running back, territorial rights or something in Barkley, and they got a 38-year-old quarterback that he won a Super Bowl 20 years ago because it's no good to him now. So that's what they look like on paper. I know when he took over the job, that couldn't have been his plan. So I think that they've changed along the way, because that highlight reel you showed of Odell Beckham, man, that's 4 years. Mm-hmm. That's not a career. Man, it would take you a career to have that many one-handed catches, that many spectacular plays. So when you let someone go out the door because of that, you better tell me something. So right now the Giants fans and football fans are, man, what do the Giants for a 1 and a 3? You let that guy go? What is the plan? We just can't see it.
And
right
one
now.
of the things you say all the time, off the air more than on the air, just general life philosophy, is we are a collection of our decisions.
Yes.
Not our statements.
Yes.
So
I'm not the best ones. That's why I'm here.
Okay. So I will throw out the statements from Dave Gettleman. The statement where he says, I'm not here to torch the whole place and bring in a new 53 from the day he was hired. I'll cross that out. Don't care about your statement. When the day he was hired said, I was taught by my mentor, Ernie Accorsi, don't quit on talent. Don't quit on talent. I'll cross that one out. Jenna, 2 weeks ago when he said,
I will not sign Odell, will not sign him and then trade him.
Right, I didn't sign Odell to trade him.
But there's another one where he said we could win and still rebuild at the same time.
You know what? I'll cross even that one out, even though he just said it yesterday. Let's just go through the decisions. The decision flow since he got there. You decide with the 2nd overall pick, not going to take a quarterback, fine. But you're also not going to, if you think you need a lot of talent, you can trade away Odell Beckham Jr. because you need extra picks. You're not going to make the trade the Colts made with the Jets, where you move back to 6 and pick up 3 additional 2nd rounders. Instead, you take a player who you say is Hall of Fame caliber, fine, but with the position that has the shortest shelf life of any position in football. You go out and overpay for a veteran left tackle because you want to win right now. Yes. You spend a the supplemental draft, a selection there, because you want to supplement your team right now, costing you your 3rd round pick this year. You trade for Ogletree, a linebacker, to help you win right now. Everything they did screamed, we can win today. So whatever your statements are,
not trading Landon Collins.
Right.
Late in the season last year. Like, you know you weren't going to win.
Right.
And so all your decisions, you re-sign Odell Beckham. The major decision. Coach Mangini was begging him, make him play for $8 million, franchise him, make it. You do all these things saying we can win right now. And 13 months later, you tear it all down. 13 months later, it is we can't have a 26-year-old superstar on the team because we have too many other positions of need, all while having a 38-year-old quarterback.
How much of everything Nick just laid out is because of the 38-year-old quarterback? Because the Mara family does not want to walk away from Eli Manning or let Eli Manning walk away to another team?
Well, man, it's all part of it. When you decide you're going to go with, yes, I can understand. They thought Barkley was going to be a Hall of Famer. Yes, but they had already made a decision that Eli could play a couple years, because you can't make the decision on the running back without making the decision on Eli. So they misdiagnosed Eli as far as how long he was going to be effective. Maybe they didn't look at it being effective. It's like, how long do we want him as our quarterback? They made up from a front office ownership standpoint, and that's what I believe ownership decided. Eli is going to be our quarterback for the next 2 seasons, which made them, they couldn't go with a quarterback with the Barkley. They had to go with that. And with Nick's philosophy, we're trying to win right now. So Gettleman, yes, he's responsible. He had a plan, but I believe that the Mara family made him change that plan. And the Mara family is the main reason why Eli. So we can, Gettleman's out there at the press conference, but when we typically dish out credit, we give it to ownership with the Giants because they've done things the right way for a long time. When we look at why don't they have a plan right now, we have to also look to ownership because they're responsible for that.
And we also have to look to two of the most respected ownership families in the league, the Rooneys and the Maras, two of the most old school families that might need to recognize, man, for good or for bad, it's 2019. And for good or for bad, the star talent player today is going to want a little more caressing, going to ask for a little more special dispensation, might dye his hair blue for one guy and blonde for the other. And you're going to have to evolve along with it.
And this is the thing. The other ownerships that were with the Giants, man, the Giants had some rigid players. They had some guys that were edgy. They made concessions. I know some of my best friends. Man, Mean Joe Green, Mel Blount, Franco. Man, the Steelers have made concessions for players for a long time. So, yes, I know you're running this new team, but you need to do some of the same things that